Good evening and welcome. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Nevada City Public Arts Commission to order. Today is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, and it is 5:32. I'm going to ask Commissioner Arbex to read the land recognition.
We acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible. We understand that we're on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As a resident or visitor in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask us all to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sir City Manager, roll call, please.
Jonas Arianis is not with us. Nakaya Schwartz.
Here.
Gianna Arbex.
Here.
Kathy Wilcox Barnes.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
And Vice Chair Shannon Harney.
Present.
Also not with us is Chair Celine Negrete. She won't be joining us this evening. I'm disappointed you didn't call me Madam Deputy City Clerk.
I know, you tried to trick me. You can't. I'm on it. Beautiful.
5 members present.
And so public comment is it's going to happen now. So
Okay.
please
I have some public comment to give,
step forward.
if that's okay, Sir City Manager.
Sure. The
Thank
chair can go out of
Sir.
order as much as she likes.
I liked that you called him Sir City Manager. My name's Adam. I live in Nevada City. I'm going to be the mayor in a couple months. And on account of current Mayor Gary Peterson, my good friend, he did the theme of the Year of the Neighborhood, if you'll recall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intending for my year as mayor to be heavily music focused. It is just a coincidence that the city just found themselves with the Miners Foundry. So I'm going to be looking to this governmental body that you are for collaboration on ideas and ways we can celebrate Nevada City as a musical city. One idea that occurred to me would be it would be fun for something along the lines of in the Champ Gallery, portraits of local musicians or artwork that reflects songs by local musicians. There's been so much local music over the years, it will not be hard to populate those kinds of gallery exhibitions. These are just ideas I have. Obviously, that's your job. But I appreciate you all. I wanted to get your gears turning on that subject, and we'll look forward to hearing your ideas and how we can all work together to celebrate the great music of the city of Nevada City. I say good day.
Beautiful. Any other public comment? Great. Well, we're going to close. Oh, I'm supposed to read that whole thing. I'm sorry, I didn't do it.
You do not have to.
Beautiful. And I went out of order. We are now going to hear a presentation from Amanda Paletti, the owner and director of Artists Studio in the Foothills.
Hello.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda. Is it okay if I just read what I prepared?
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to tell you guys what we are. Maybe you already know. I don't know. The Artist Studios in the Foothills is a fully equipped studio art center and educational facility offering private studio space for working artists, 3 community classrooms for art instruction, and a gallery to promote local artists. As if artists are instructors, and instructors are featured in rotating open to the public exhibits and events throughout the year. The facility's community classrooms include a fully functioning ceramics studio and a printmaking studio. As If defines itself as a center with three defining elements: studios, classes, and a gallery. As a visual arts center, As If endeavors to be a conduit and communal space for local creatives of all media. It prides itself as a place where art can be made, displayed, and appreciated by artists and patrons of all ages. Now in its 16th year, As If has become the creative home to over 20 studio artists and instructors. Its mission is to create a space for visual artists to support themselves as working artists through their art practices, and art instruction. It provides open invitations to its members to act as co-hosts for its many year-round featured art events and creative offerings to the public. While our primary focus is its classes and programs and art camps, its gallery is an especially important element in its objective to maintain a space that's dedicated to public outreach. As If teachers work as private contractors, making use of the center's 3 community classrooms, engaging students of all ages through the promotional work of As If's executive director, me. This support is provided through the As If website and seasonal promotions, press releases, and e-blasts to its more than 2,500 recipient list and social media networks. As If's educational programs provide instruction for artists of all ages in media-based courses focusing on materials and technique, as well as culturally thematic classes in a wide range of media. Coursework includes drawing, painting, and watercolor, acrylics, water-based printmaking, a whole lot of things, sculpture, pottery, figure drawing, and sculpting, and many more. Let's see. In addition to As If's educational programs, the center provides a space for art groups to meet and practice their art. On a weekly basis, they come and they paint together and they critique each other's work. And so they're like art groups that have just been coming for years to do that. In collaboration with the Nevada County Arts Council, As If instructors were the founding contributors and developers of the Artists in the Schools program, which began in 2017. Artists in Schools program provides on-site art instruction to school-age children throughout the county and field trips to As If for local homeschool programs. As If has worked in collaboration with the Nevada County Arts Council in the Sierra Poetry Festival for 3 consecutive years in the development and collaboration between local poets and visual artists in its ekphrastic, fantastic, art-inspired poetry events. This year marks As If's 3rd annual ekphrastic, fantastic exhibition, and it's our current gallery show. So if you go in there, if you want to come, you'll see the artwork that's on the walls and then the poems that are on the wall beside it. And we already had the 2 reading events where the poets all came and the public sat in the classroom, and we brought the art in and put it up on the easels, and then the poets would read it, and then we'd whisk them out and bring the next art. It's a really, really fun event that brings all the poets and visual artists together. The next up is As If's annual student and teacher showcase, which we've done for all of the 16 years that we've been there. So we have, the teachers gather a bunch of their students' artwork and feature the students, and then we have a big event showcasing all of our programs and students that are there. So that's it. I'd love to hear more about you guys. I didn't really have time to do my homework to find out what you guys even are, so
We're learning too.
I know, I have a lot to learn, but I'm really busy because I'm planning my wedding this summer, so.
Wow.
I know. So
Congratulations.
that's why, yeah. Anyway, I guess
Beautiful.
maybe I'll have to do my homework and find out what you are, because I don't think that's why you're
You
here
don't have to do
tonight.
that much homework. We can, yeah. Are there any questions for Amanda? Yeah,
I have a
Kathy?
question, and maybe I'm the only one who doesn't know, and I didn't see it on here. Where are you located?
It's on Idaho-Maryland Road in Grass Valley.
Okay.
So if you're at the roundabout and you head away from Grass Valley, if you hit Sutton Way, you've just
Okay.
missed
I
it
know
on the
where you're
left-hand
talking about.
side. Yeah.
I know where it is. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I brought a bunch of promotional materials, like little flyers for our classes and stuff. I don't know if I should hand those to you guys and let you look at them. Do you want?
They can go to where the cookies are,
Oh.
and we will encourage
Perfect.
people to take cookies and
Thank you.
promotions.
Great, great.
And you're,
You're welcome to take a cookie.
Yeah, well, I'm planning on my wedding dress.
Amanda, one of the things that we do is our involvement in the Champ Gallery. Are you familiar with the Champ Gallery? Because I think that, you know, you're definitely a bridge to artists, and, you know, so keeping an eye on, you know, the different themes of what the Champ Gallery exhibitions are, so you can kind of serve as a liaison to inform the artists that there's this opportunity to submit their artwork. Right now, we're reviewing a youth art exhibition, but I think just for the future, it is one of the things that we do as a Public Arts Commission, is to review artwork and kind of help inform what the theme of the exhibition for the art in the public places. And so I think, you know, the incredible work that you're doing with artists it's amazing. And I know you have a lot of connections with them, and you're kind of a bridge. So thank you for your presentation. Yeah.
Is there any public comment on this item? Okay. Any other comments from commissioners? I think we should take a field trip up to As-If as the Public Arts Commission. Learn a little bit more. That would be really fun.
We're there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 11 to 4, so those are our open hours.
Those are my
but
hours.
I'll meet you guys whenever.
Cool.
Give you a tour.
I love that. Great. Well, thanks so much, Amanda. We're going to press on into the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one sweeping motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. Before we take action on the consent calendar, we will hear public comment on any consent calendar items only. Do we have any public comment on the consent calendar? Now I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve
I have
it.
a question
Oh.
first, and I'm not sure if this is approved as a consent agenda. For the calendared items, do those automatically get placed on the calendar if we want to talk about something that's on the calendared items?
So that's a running tally of items that have been requested by the commission to be on future agendas, as well as the known items that will hit your future agendas. So they're already programmed to be there, like Champ Gallery theme selection in July
Right.
and those kind of things. If you want to add to this by approving this, you're just accepting what's on there. If you want to add to it, then you could, in your commissioner remarks at the end of the meeting, could say, I want to hear from As-If, like that's how we got them here today, was that
But
kind of
if there's
comment.
something on there that I want to question, would this be the time to do it, or is that subject to change in the future? I don't know if I'm making myself clear.
Oh, no, just share, maybe I can help. What are you asking about?
The calendared item for our next meeting, where it talks about review of the public stuff for the Y. At the last meeting, we said we were going to wait until July or August to talk about it again, and it's on tonight's meeting, and now it's again coming up on June, and I'm wondering, how did it get back on the schedule, and we said we weren't going to talk about it until July or August? You said you were going to put the list in the consent agenda.
So that's what's
And
later
it's
on your
on-
item is the data, the information, and then yes, we won't bring it back to you until later in the year. This item that's listed for next meeting is the one that's with you tonight, the data.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all I'm asking.
Perfect.
Got
You know,
it.
does that get deleted off because
Yep, we'll take it off on the next time we
this was
pass
going to
through
go
the.
into the consent agenda
Yep.
tonight and it didn't, so
It's
that's
a-
okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you
I'm
for that.
cool.
All right. righty then. Yeah, that's a good question. I am looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar.
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Aye.
Commissioner Arbex,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilcox Barnes,
I abstain, since that's in there.
Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
and Vice Chair Harney.
Aye.
Passes 5 or 4 to 1.
Just an abstain.
We had an abstain. First time for everything. All right, great. Now, let's get into business. Lisa, are you ready to get into business?
Yes.
Awesome. We're going to talk about the selection of Champ Gallery submissions for the May 2025 opening, Youth Visions of Tomorrow.
Would you like me to introduce this item?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I am happy to present to you the submissions for our Champ Gallery Youth Visions of Tomorrow exhibit. And we've been coordinating with the artist to try to understand if they need assistance framing their pieces. And as I'm sure you all saw in your email, we have a workshop scheduled for tomorrow for those that may need assistance. I did talk to most of the artists. There were 4 out of the 12 that I didn't speak with, that I left voicemails for. And the 8 that I did talk to are in good shape. So it doesn't seem like the workshop will be too many people. So just an update on that. And then also the submissions that we've received were from 12 different artists and 15 diverse pieces. They're here in your staff report for your review. There were a few that were removed because they had sensitive material, so you won't see those. And I'm happy to discuss as you see fit. And I do think that upon just a quick sort of evaluation of our wall space, that we could probably accommodate hanging all of the pieces. So if you'd like to make selections so that we don't have, like there's one artist that has 2 really beautiful pieces that are kind of similar, but we'd be happy to hang them all if that is the direction of the commission.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. Any clarifying questions?
When are we hanging this exhibit? Is that decided yet? Or
Next week.
next week, but unsure on the date? Or
I was going to check with the liaisons and see what the schedule
Okay,
might be.
all right.
Cool. Any other clarifying questions?
Is there an opening reception day?
Yes, thank you. May 28th at 5 PM. So that's before the city council meeting that night.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Lisa, I think I heard you say that there's enough room for what's been submitted so far if we were to say,
I think we could accommodate hanging all of them with our wire hanging system that's installed now. I haven't done a
28th, the
layout or
Wednesday.
anything like that, but yeah.
no, it's-
Okay. Any public comment on Champ Gallery Youth Visions for Tomorrow content? Thank you, Vice Mayor Klein.
Is there, so as far as like the interpretive material that will go with the pieces, are we putting whatever is on here? Like, is the artist statement going to be included as well?
Yeah.
It will
That
be.
happened last
Yeah, that's
time.
what we did
Yeah.
for our last one, is
Yeah.
we got the
Okay.
little cards printed, so we'll probably just use that same template and do it again.
Yeah.
And some of them are likely going to need to be trimmed down.
Right.
Yeah.
Could we encourage Anakin Steen to title their works if they're not opposed to that? Maybe it's intentional, I don't know. I also feel like Patience Dopos has 3 pieces. That third piece, I don't know if it's finished yet, but maybe we limit them to the 2 that are completed, just to ensure that we can give the artwork a little bit of nice space around it, unless that piece is done and it looks fabulous.
The tree?
Yeah.
The tree is not done.
Okay.
And I spoke with her today, and it's not completed yet. So if you
Okay.
wanted to do that, then we could let her know.
Yeah, because it feels like the 3 pieces for one artist might feel a little bit unfair to the other artist, but just whatever you all want to do.
It's also not a painting or a drawing, that's a
sculpture.
representation of what it'll be. This is trash art.
I think it's kind of
Okay.
interesting to,
Yeah. Installation.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what it was when I first saw it, but I did have her in and talked with her about it and kind of told her that it would be considered, and that if we did include it, we could put it in the corner by where the bikes are and move the bikes. And so she would be, she hasn't found it yet, but she would be seeking like a table, and then it would be like a wire sculpture type thing, like about this big, it seemed.
Do you need-
And then hang stuff
Do you,
on
does
it.
the city have pedestals? Or, because we have so many in Uba City that are just in storage.
Oh,
I'm sure
really?
I could figure out lending you one if
Okay, yeah, and
if you
and then
needed,
it
but-
would be sort of interactive too, where I think there would be cards or something on the
Okay.
table where people write things and put it on the tree or sort of decorate it.
It's kind of cool.
I
It's
do,
different.
yeah.
Yeah,
Interactive and
okay.
themed differently than most of the other ones.
yeah, and maybe if there's like clear directions for the public, how to interact with the piece. And I agree, like maybe encouraging a title for it that kind of speaks to the, to the intention of this piece. And maybe with this artist, since, there's this big piece that's interactive, maybe we just pick one of the hanging pieces versus having them all.
Yeah, I mean, I like both of the visual pieces, and they're not huge.
15
I
by
feel
15
like-
by 10 and 16 by 8.
Yeah. So I think we can fit it, because we don't really have anything that's as large as
Right.
some of the pieces that are out there currently.
Okay. I love these. These are amazing. I
Such
think they
great variety.
represent, yeah, like
Yeah.
so much of our voices of our youth.
It's kind of crazy question, but on the maiden to, is it warrior or warrior, is that spelled that way intentionally?
I'm sure it is. I have been
Warrior?
guessing it is, but it's there twice.
Maybe it was like a play on
Yeah,
words
it's
or
three,
something.
Yeah.
three
And it's
times
in all
in the
caps.
title,
Yeah.
the title and the description. We can ask though, for sure.
I just
And it's
wondered
in caps.
If it was a play
Yeah.
on word
Very
going for
intentional.
warrior,
I think it is.
I think it is. Clever.
What sensitive material was submitted? Are there
Partial
rules?
partial nudity, and sculpture that was a female body part. She was
Not
really-
allowed.
She was really excited about it. Yeah.
All right.
So we shared with them what the,
It's a city.
circumstances were, and they have withdrawn them. So,
Okay.
but, it could be that they're appropriate for a future or different installation or a different time, different place.
Yeah.
Just probably not the youth category.
Youth Visions of Tomorrow, huh?
Were they offered an opportunity to submit a different?
Yeah, isn't that,
Yeah.
They're all represented.
yeah.
Perfect.
Great, great.
Are we looking for a motion?
I
Before,
just want to say, I'm
sorry.
really happy that we got this many in. Last meeting, I was beginning to worry, and these are great. So,
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you all for helping us get the word out and talking to the artists you know. That helped a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you deliberate, if you are willing to, several of them don't have prices, and one has a very low price of $20. So if you are so inclined, you might want to see if we might be able to help them once they're installed and give them information about what's, reasonable pricing for, fair value for an artist's work.
Great suggestion, Sean. Yeah.
I do think there are resources about, like how to price your artwork based on the dimensions. I don't know if it's like square.
Dimensions, also like framing can just get so crazy,
Yeah.
like materials, and then,
I'd be happy to look into that and maybe work with the commission on like different resources we can provide them too.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I would just feel, I don't want us to ever be in a situation where we're essentially
Selling.
taking advantage of somebody. I mean, $20 for either of those photographs, there's more,
yeah.
Yeah.
there's more money in the materials there than,
Yeah.
not to mention the value of their time.
Good catch, Sean.
I mean, I think I'm curious, just like strategy-wise for like future youth engagement, since we struggled with our first round, like what worked? Did you get messages around like where people were hearing about it, or like what seemed to be most effective in
Word of
capturing
mouth.
youth? Yeah, okay.
On this one, yeah. Or the teachers. A few of them said my teacher told me about it, or like even just Bethany going into the Ben Franklin for whatever she was getting that day, and talking to some of the young folks that work there.
Oh,
They
cool.
applied, yeah.
Nice.
I forwarded it to all my teachers.
Oh, nice.
Great.
Yeah, and then Bailey, who was in our exhibit.
Yeah.
When she had another exhibit she was putting that piece into, and so I told her about it when she was here, and she was like, okay, yeah. She's like, it won't be ready by the meeting, but I'll have it ready by the hang date, so.
Right?
Yeah.
And one of them was direct contact, right?
This one? Yeah, I reached out to Sheila Cameron on this as a reminder, yeah.
Great.
So we didn't have like one thing that worked.
Okay, what's the thing? Yeah, select the art, our recommended action is select the art and provide any additional input on the process.
How are we feeling about a trash tree, the sculpture one?
I feel great about
Yeah,
trash tree.
if it's complete and we can figure out a table or a pedestal,
Okay.
yeah.
She doesn't have it done yet, and so, kids
Well,
are pretty
it
busy
could
right now.
come in late even since it's not affecting the wall positioning.
True. When I
Yeah.
spoke to her, I said, if you could have it by the opening, that would be great. But I also said, no pressure if this
Yeah.
doesn't come together. So I could give her more time if you thought that was good.
I think it would be good to have by the opening date.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. 'Cause that's like close to a month from now, 3 weeks.
Do you need any other information from us?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. Great job, everybody. All right, more business. Selection of artist proposals for the 2025 Painted Pianos program. The recommended action for us is to select the proposals and provide any additional input on art walk engagement.
These are so fun.
They're so fun.
Pianos are there?
There's
So
3?
there's 3 pianos that are working well, and then we have one that doesn't work as well. And we got 4 submissions.
But Since Brittany is doing the interactive, like, community painting of one piano, is that correct?
That's what we were thinking of doing, yes.
So should we select from the other artists for the other two, or is Brittany still in the running for that as well?
She's not in the running
Okay.
because she can't receive city
Okay,
funds in
gotcha.
that way.
All right.
And we can't get the other piano to work? Could we get the other piano to work?
Potentially, or it could just be a piano that doesn't work as well.
We basically have 3 working pianos. That's what you're going to be able to award tonight. And,
Okay.
you know, we hope we have a glutton of pianos by the time we do this again. So Truckee would like to do this with us next year maybe. So we'll be on the recruitment for pianos. So
We could get another piano, but there's cost involved too, so. Yeah.
So is the idea that this will launch during the art walk and should be an interactive piece with,
Yes.
like, the audiences that are participating at the art walk?
Yes, so for the interactive one, it will be like a live painting.
Okay.
But not like we would see at a festival because it's more engaging than that is the idea. So as people were watching the painting happening, the artist would encourage them to like help or engage them in, like some way. And then the other, that would be for the one, and then the other 2 would be, we deliver it to the artists and they have approximately a month to paint.
Okay.
And then we'll pick it back up and put it out on the sidewalk.
And are there locations already proposed to where they would go?
We have one location down by the pizza joint.
there's likely in front of the Chamber of Commerce, but it's not finalized yet.
It's kind of where I was envisioning the Chamber of Robinson's Plaza.
So you're saying there's 3, but you said there's maybe 4.
There's only 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
because 1 means we don't have to choose anyone out, and
Yeah.
1 means we do.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's 3. So we do have to make a choice.
Are artists being paid for this project, or is it all volunteer work?
That's $2,000.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
It's
good.
paid,
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
This is our
That's why it's 3.
clarification questioning, or we can
Yes.
ask a...
Yeah, this is clarification questioning. Is there any public comment?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are there going to be people playing the pianos? Do they work that well, or are they?
Yeah, that's the hope.
That's
Yeah.
And where are you going to find those?
They're going to like be going to get a coffee and walking the stroller and just be like,
They'll
oh,
see a
I'm an
piano.
artist, like I'll play a
okay,
song.
So you're not going to have a piano player sit down and play Chopin or something like that?
No.
They'll be on the street available to be played through the summer.
Got it.
But is the city going to do any type of publicity around this, like,
That
make
is-
some, reach out to local musical organizations or pianists, or run
Yeah,
an
that was an
article?
idea that came forward, and what was the group that the gal recommended we reach out to? Music in the Mountains? Some youth organization that does music and potentially engaging them to be more formalized at one of the pianos for like the second or the third art walk.
Yeah, or even like
And-
collaboration between different types of musicians, singers, could just get some energy going there.
Yeah.
Might be really fun.
I mean, we'll definitely put the information out,
Yeah.
whether we'll be able to curate,
What happens
people
down
to be
there.
there to play and sing. I would hope, but I don't think, I don't think we'll have as much time to,
Okay.
to do that, but
We
we'll
can
definitely
nudge.
put it
We
out
can
there and
make
see,
sure.
yeah. And then we can learn from it if it's like,
Yeah.
wow, it's getting played all the time, that worked, or if it, it didn't work very well, and we can adjust for future ones, because the intent would be that these will come in after the summer, and then go back out next year and get repainted and replaced
Oh.
on the street again with a new,
Yeah. Oh, fun.
Oh, that's good to know. So there could be possibility for future artists to
Correct.
paint over it. Great.
Yeah, Kathy, go ahead.
I have 2 questions. One is, do we know how, I know in the one that Brittany submitted, it talked about the materials, but do we know what the others, the one that uses natural,
Jennifer Rudd?
Natural minerals.
Yeah.
natural minerals and whatever mixed with, do we know how durable these will be? Will they be coated with something to make them stand up to the rain a little bit better than just putting the paint on that? I didn't see that in here anyway.
Probably not, because then when we go to paint over them in future years, it will be harder and it won't accept another coat of paint as well. So I think where we're at right now is we're leaving it to the artist's discretion on what paint they want to use.
Okay.
And we had talked about, would somebody use like exterior latex paint or what? But
Yeah, I just wondered because it would be a shame to, spend $2,000 in the first rainstorm we have. It's gone.
But they won't be out. in
Sounds like they
rainstorms,
won't,
right?
they'll only be out
Yeah.
there in the summer, right?
Well, we have rain in the summer. So, I'm that's one question. The other is a possible location. Is there a flat enough or place as you're going down to Miners Foundry that we could possibly put one there on Spring Street area? Not just, so we have them located. Because a lot of people with talent, musical talent go in and out of there.
Yeah,
that's a
it's
good
a great
idea.
idea. The biggest limitation is they have to be unloaded on flat ground and they have to be wheeled from that flat ground to flat ground. So
Topography.
anytime you're steep and you have the trailer and then you're lifting a piano, which we're not going to have our folks do, so. But
There might be a place.
Yeah, I
That's a
like
great
that
idea.
idea. I think to speak to, the longevity of these, I think any artwork would, could be susceptible to be damaged by rain. So I don't know if that would necessarily be a limiting factor when selecting. And I know Jennifer's a seasoned artist with a lot of experience too, as much as the other ones. So just a note on that concern, Kathy.
And we'll definitely, by we, I mean probably Lisa, share with them, make sure that they understand that, hey, these are going to be outside, through the summer. It could rain, it could, whatever the case may be. And for the people that hear that it's $2,000 and that sounds like a lot of money for something that's only going to be outside for 3 months, it's got it's two very different kinds of art between the music and the painting that's going to go on there. And then there's probably, I'm guessing, as much prep work on these pianos as there is artwork on these pianos. In future years, that may not be the case, but they're still probably going to have to sand them and prep them and, and work around the fact that you can't just, shoot it with a spray gun because it's got working, piano
Right.
keys and things. So, but we'll see. It'll be our first time. Certainly, there's other places that do this very well. Unfortunately for us, none of them are close to us because we would ask them how it works. But
Are all these artists local?
They are, yeah, they're all from Western Nevada County.
It's hard, huh?
All right, dig in, friends. What are we doing here?
Are we looking at themes that are, I know these are very beautiful. Do we want to consider narratives around these too, as far as considerations,
Well, the octopus one is the only one that has a musical
Right.
theme.
Also, it's ocean, right?
Yeah.
There's something, just gonna start talking about it. Like Ursula and Jerry Ann's work, very bright, playful, vibrant, gonna draw people in. If we're kind of tucking these pianos into enclaves and wanting to attract people to them, I could see having kind of some vibrancy, part of that. And Jennifer's is just, it's more subdued, the natural, the earth piece. It's really, really beautiful, and might not have that same effect.
Or do we want to showcase people who are lesser shown than some of the other ones?
Yeah.
I
Can
love
you
all of them, but.
say more?
Well, Ursula's work, while I love it, it is in prominent places around town. So there could be a chance to have someone else be featured. But I also.
Jennifer's
I'm not
also
gonna, I'm not
very
gonna,
well
like-
known too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know that that's a criteria. Was there something about it being, representing local flora and fauna, or did I make that up? That wasn't
I
real.
think that was some other thing
That
we
was a
did
different
that
thing.
we
Okay,
got
okay,
canceled on.
okay.
We didn't give a theme, right? We just asked the artists to
Good.
tell us what they visioned.
Okay, well.
I mean, I do like that Ursula is representing our area
Yeah.
in her illustration with the poppies and the lupins and having, women being featured.
Yeah, my vote would be the octopus and Ursula Young's. And I love Jennifer Rugg's work, but I just feel like the other two might be more appropriate for this project.
We do have a more playful, dare I say, whimsical.
I like Jennifer's. I know it doesn't pop, but it kind of reminds me somewhat of almost like, petroglyph or something that,
Yep.
it's a change of pace and it fits in, I think.
I'm also leaning towards Jennifer's aesthetically. I think it could be very interesting to have it against a piano, because I think it kind of speaks with, and because we have one that's so colorful and kind of takes the wood away, I do think Jennifer's has more cohesion with what the texture of the piano already is, because it's wood.
Kathy, do you have a number 2? Since you picked number 2 as your,
Do I have a number 2?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're looking at the 3 of them as being available, and I'm thinking we have 3 pianos, so I don't want to.
You have 2.
We have 2 pianos, okay. And I'm gonna get, I like them all. I like
Yep.
the octopus, and I like the vibrancy of the poppies. I don't know.
Okay.
You too.
I can't,
No, I
don't
feel too.
look at me as a tiebreaker.
Well,
I don't
maybe
agree.
just thematically, if Jennifer's gonna prioritize fauna and Ursula's gonna prioritize people and dancers, that's a dynamic that is
Yeah.
different instead of animal. I'm just being so basic at this
Yeah.
point, but they're all great, so.
The poppies really are local and pop.
The poppies pop.
So does the octopus, though.
The octopus pops.
Yeah.
It will.
I also like Jennifer's doesn't really show the scale or what's going to happen on the other sides of the piano.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
You
yeah.
like that it doesn't?
No, I just feel like it's a little bit harder for the
Just tell what
commission.
To
Well,
visualize.
because hers is just a
No.
picture of an
Yeah.
existing piece she has,
Yeah.
whereas the other two
Right.
artists put together a proposal.
That's a
You
good
won
point.
me over. I'll go with 1 and 3. And hopefully we can use Jennifer's concept for something else, because I just really think it fits here.
Oh, she's a wonderful artist.
Yeah, and maybe offering the feedback that having it in context would have made the decision a bit easier for the commission to see what it would actually be represented on the piano.
Thanks, Lisa.
So I will then also go with 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Is it valuable just as an artist, if we were to provide a template of the piano of what we would want to see? I think Jerry Ann did a really good job of being bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
So did Ursula.
In future application processes, or
I don't know, what did the call to artists say to do a rendering of the artwork on the piano?
Yeah,
So
sketch.
that was the instruction, so.
I don't know if it necessarily said on a piano, probably didn't.
All right. Are we gonna do 1 and 3? And Lisa's gonna deliver that news?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Are we happy
Deliver
with
the
that?
piano. We're gonna deliver the piano.
And you're gonna deliver the piano?
Yeah, I want to make sure they have it before the weekend,
yeah.
so, because they only,
When does it
How long do they
go?
have?
Art Walk
The
is,
first Friday in June.
yeah, we're hoping
soon.
to get it back
Yeah.
from them, but by June 4th.
Yeah, let's
So-
do it.
Get it.
Let's get it. Great
Okay.
job, Lisa.
Thank you.
So that was a helpful,
Great job, Lisa.
a helpful way to break it down.
And I'm so happy we got cool stuff. This
Yeah.
is really beautiful. It's gonna be so fun. Okay, are we ready to move forward?
Do we
Yes.
do a thing?
I don't think we have to do a thing.
Okay, okay,
It's more just a vibe.
okay.
Okay, sweet. Next order of business. This is now a discussion of opportunities to partner with the Public Art Commission of Truckee. They have an acronym that's PACT. Our acronym is NC-PAC. That's good to know. And the recommended action is to receive and report and provide input on the possible future collaboration. Sean?
Sure. So Lisa and I met with one of the liaisons to the Truckee Public Arts Commission virtually, and then we actually got to meet her in person. Was it last week? We went up there for a joint meeting of the Town of Truckee, cities of Grass Valley and Nevada City, and the Board of Supervisors. And we got to see their Truckee doesn't do parks because they have a parks district, but they have a new park where they did a bridge across the Truckee River to their legacy trail there, and they have some planned art installations there. So we reached out per the request of the commission. It was one of the things that you wanted to see how you could interact with them. Their liaison sounded very excited. It sounded to me, and Lisa can correct me if I'm wrong, but they've had a very, very different approach. So the town did an arts master plan first, and then the outcome of that was to create a public arts commission. And they've been largely focused on large-scale projects, things that are already in the hopper, already funded, and are known to have art. Whereas we have none of those things, no large-scale projects, no money, and, so our approach has been and you are at the front end. We created a public arts policy and ordinance, but then you were created immediately after that to shepherd that process. So we don't have a public arts master plan. We had contemplated that we would probably get there eventually, and you'd be the ones that would lead that effort. So yeah, I think it'd be a good fit to kind of learn how each other do it. They've been in around about 1.5 2 years longer than you have. So what I had suggested, and this does not in any way have to be what we would do, but was the thought that we would ask you if you would be interested in doing a field trip to see them, either for their regular meeting or for a special meeting, and have it, have the kind of the formal part, and then do a field trip to various sites in Truckee to visit some of their art pieces and installations, and then end with a mix or something like that, and then we bring you back down the hill. If that's not palatable, we can do Zoom meetings. There's infinite choices, but that lets us go see something different that we
Yeah.
can't see in Nevada City or Western County. But beyond that, do you have anything else take home for that? Because I didn't read my notes.
One thing that I took away from our call with her is that the art pieces are largely driven by artists bringing proposals to the city. which I think we would be open to as well. And we have, like, the Rotary has come to us and said we're interested in doing a piece. So I found that to be interesting. And yeah, I think you pretty much covered it.
Yeah, that part is different, but I think the artist came with, sounds like either they came with money or that there was, they were gonna put art on a project that had money for art or something to that extent, so.
Well, but they control like an operating budget too, their Public Arts Commission, don't they?
I don't believe so.
I think so.
I thought they did, and that's how they did the work for the master plan. It did sound like they were.
Well, the city definitely has money for it, but I don't think the commission has a budget to do art specifically, but we can find out.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, and they had like an interactive story map, didn't she send us, where you could go around and see where the locations are and click on a picture and see the art. So I'll forward that to you all.
That's similar to the mural mapping that the chambers have done.
What was exciting to them about doing a collaboration? Little old us.
The collaboration in general, they like the idea of the painted pianos, they like the idea of
Okay.
Champ Gallery. They do art installations at Town Hall, but the Town Hall is shared. Upstairs is almost exclusively other partners, other than the council chambers. So it's like Sierra Business Council and the offices for the supervisor from the district and things like that. And so upstairs, they're in the hallway there, the school district and others partner to put art there, but they don't have a city curated thing. So I think they were interested in that, although they do a ton of art, don't get me wrong. But,
I like the idea of going up there and visiting and like potentially seeing some of the larger scale like art installations and projects that they've accomplished.
What are the logistics? How do we put together the field trip with the Brown Act in mind? And how, can you explain that to us?
we would just get several vehicles and drive you all up there. So
Can't have more than two of us in one vehicle kind of thing?
you can, because 3 of you can be together under the Brown Act, because it's your body of 7. So that isn't an issue. And generally, you can all be in the car you could all be in the same bus as long as you're not talking shop,
Right.
you know.
So we would just,
So,
then we would just have a published agenda that we're up there on the public.
exactly, we'd publish it at both places, and just like we did the previous thing. The other thing that is different about there is they don't have a performing arts venue. They don't even have
Tragic.
They don't even have a movie theater. So you think about us, and we have
Did you say they don't have a luthier?
a movie theater.
Oh, like, what? How can they not have a luthier?
So we have, in the western part of the county, we have all of that. I mean, we have the Nevada Theater with, live plays and musicals, and we have the Miners Foundry, and we have Onyx and several movie theaters in Grass Valley. Other than the Del Oro, not historical, the other ones, but they're still, theaters. But whereas we just take for granted that we have, 5, stage companies that, do performances here. So I think that might also be something that could be collaborative as they often do. They have money and will, and so I anticipate that they will eventually have a public-private partnership for a facility like that. But
Interesting.
we have the will, but not the money sometimes.
Is there the possibility of like doing kind of like mutual or paired grant writing or shared funding pursuits that would benefit both of us? Or like if we were to do like a joint project, a public art piece that spanned both cities and connected them?
Yes, of course. I mean, whether or not it'll be successful, I don't know, but the NEA grants for sure allow for multi-locus applications where you can be at multiple sites as long as there's connectivity to them. One thing that might make that really work would be the Pines and Mines Trail. So if you had, artwork at the trailhead of either end of of the trail, and it was that kind of I don't like the mining reference, or I mean the railroad reference, do the spike, gold spike in the middle, but it is that kind of thing. You're connecting,
Yeah.
two very different places through it, through physical space, and nature, but it could also be, artistically connected, so.
I think too, like with campaigns, I know right now they're doing the Dark Skies campaign. So I think, campaigns are a great way to like kind of link us, and it's, it's not a physical thing, but like a way to highlight not just our nature, but like our artists too, considering both sides of the Sierras, so I love the idea of going up there and connecting with PACT, yeah.
Is there any public comment on this topic? Great. Carry on, everyone. Yeah, I love this idea too. I met a couple of the PACT folks at the Art Council focus groups last week, and they were super, just stoked on their work, and they do have a different kind of, guiding work plan document that they're following, which is cool. And I think even if, we're not going to adopt something so formalized, it would be really interesting to see what they spent their, all their money contracting someone for the plan. We could just probably steal part of the plan. And yeah, going up, I think they meet at 4 the first Tuesday of the month or something. And perhaps, if we don't do it anytime too soon, but it could be cool for us to also maybe provide some collaborative ideas and go out being like, well, we got some ideas, and let them reflect on that, so we show how on it we are.
And they heard the item yesterday, the same discussion at their meeting. We didn't have a chance, unless, Lisa, you talked to Becky today, to hear what they said, but I'm sure they said something similar, yeah, we'd love to see you, so.
Yeah, there's the the cultural district thing that we can share, and then I think just having being in Nevada County, thinking of how we can kind of elevate the board priorities, whether it's environmentalism or housing or whatever, and think about getting more buy-in and support from the county at large is a good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Great. Let's do it. What do you want to do? You want to hear anything else from us?
Anything you want to share? So we'll
It's
take that, we'll work with them and see what's possible and bring it back to you.
August, maybe. September's Labor Day right then. October's kind of a cool time of year.
Do you mean for going up there?
August would probably not be good because you're the week before the fair. And that seems to be a pretty bad time here. Anytime after that, kids are back in school and things seem to be kind of back into a routine. But I mean, we can make anything happen if the 7 of you and the 7 of them want to do it. But we wouldn't want to go probably past.
October
October.
seems like a
Yeah.
gentle
It
snow.
snowed last year in
In
early
Oc-
September.
yeah,
but
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Can we go in September or check with them and see what works? And
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be a
We'll
nice time
see
of
what
year.
works. The one thing I didn't mention is their structure is different than ours, whereas your 4 representational positions, 1 youth commissioner and 2 artists in residence or at-large essentially positions there, don't have representation to, like the Historical Society and the Chamber and the Nisanon and the Arts Council. They have by discipline largely. They do have at-large also, but they have, like a performing arts person and a
Interesting.
That's
painter
cool.
and that kind of thing. So might be another thing to kind of discuss how the pros, the cons, the how that looks, how that works. We our council was purposeful with how we created it here, and we were aware of the Truckee model, but this commission, and it sounds like theirs too, has been much more focused on the art outside of art centers, like, you don't really talk about what's on stage so much, because they're like doing their thing, you know? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't
Yeah.
be discussing that, but, you know, it would seem, I'd like to ask the question, it's like, okay, you have a performing artist on your arts commission, and you only do physical art installations.
Right.
So, I
Yeah.
don't know how that works, but.
It could be really cool to help maybe bridge some of those gaps too. Like, we do have so many performing arts operations happening, and creating some kind of like satellite, like, hey, well, we just had Midsummer Night's Dream outside at the park here, like, I'm gonna send you up to Truckee to do it for the kids. Something like that. I think there'd be an appetite in our places to do that.
I think they do have a lot of programming, they don't have space.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, they weren't incorporated, they were
Yeah.
never,
Yeah. It's a different
you know,
thing.
but they were always Truckee, but they weren't the town of Truckee. And so they don't do water and sewer and fire and parks and, you know, all those things, because they're all special districts. And then when they incorporated, you know, they didn't even have a town hall, right? So that's why it got built out there at the airport, because that was a place they could build something. So just different challenges, whereas here, it's like, everything here is
Right here.
Too many spaces.
175 years old, you know?
Well, also I
Through
think,
the building, so part of it was in the city, part in the county, so they have to meet on this side.
Yep.
It's in the city.
yeah, and I know there's like a local brewery that hosts a lot of their cultural events. I was there and they had a film from a local filmmaker that was featuring a local dancer talking about environmental issues, and then there's like families like all there, like watching and eating at the local brewery. So like there's an interesting like characteristic about how they're making it work with the spaces that they have. Because I also think that the trends are changing with, you know, people attending spaces. Like, we have a different scenario here where is there enough an audience for the amount of spaces that we have? So it's an interesting conversation, I think, with them, and how to solve those things and how to like look at the trends and follow that too.
Great. Okay, cool. We'll be excited to talk more about this.
Yes.
Thank you. More business. We are going to review the survey results for the possible public art project on the site of the Broad Street Y project. It is underway. Oh boy, is it ever. We are going to review the results of the survey like we talked about last month, and just provide any input if we feel like we want to just capture anything from those results for future consideration into any potential project. And this is Elisa.
Okay, so thank you for introducing it so well, Shannon. And I did feel like last month the data was provided to the commission in its full form, but not really synthesized. So what we did here is to comb through the data and try to find the overarching themes. And that's what I wanted to bring to you, was to just better understand the results of the community survey, which I do feel broadly represents what the community's wishes are for that potential location. So I'll just run through them here, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So we did close the survey on April 28th, and it was open for approximately 8 weeks. And we had the workshop, which you guys helped us host, and we had 102 individuals respond. So the key themes and takeaways, I'll just kind of go through. For the most common desired themes for the artwork would be historic, something that's community and Nisenan representative, a nature theme, or there were others such as like something that feels welcoming to Nevada City, something creative and non-standard. The term Gold Rush did come through, Victorian, diversity, inclusiveness. And then the question for what could or should be considered as an intended purpose for the artwork. Storytelling and history was the top response, or something that reflected that. And then beautification, something that beautifies the space, social or cultural commentary, community gathering, tourism attraction, at 24 votes. So storytelling and history 64, beautification 60, social or cultural commentary 54. So I do find those to be well represented out of 102 people that responded for those themes to come through. And then for the most frequent suggested subjects and concepts, we received feedback on Nisenan tribal recognition, natural environment representation, critique. There was critique of the Gold Rush mythology, and many people stated that they, not another mining relic or not another Gold Rush themed piece. It was more kind of on that sort of don't do that thing instead of we want that. And then there was also inclusive stories represented. People thought it would be interesting to show different histories here in Nevada City. And then there were comments about including art done by local artists. For the question on what folks thought about preferred materials and styles, many people said natural and durable, such as stone, metal, and wood, artistic hardscape or sculptures, including a suggestion for mosaics, mixed media, and low-profile artwork. A color palette that is more earthy, muted, and blends with the surroundings. Avoid bright or flashy elements. And then for size and scale, many respondents emphasized modest human scale pieces that don't overshadow the adjacent historic home. We also did get some comments about keeping the scale down to keep traffic, eyes on the road, and keep the safety element going. And then as far as concerns and reservations, preservation of historic character came through. Don't want anything that clashes with the house that that the project is in front of, the main house. Safety and traffic, which I just said. Maintenance and vandalism should be considered for long-term upkeep and durability. Community division. Some worry that an art piece could become a political flashpoint or deepen divides that already exist. And there was some opposition to the project itself, which I'm sure you saw in the survey results as well. And many people did state that no artwork is needed at this location. And I will say that many of those responses came through, or the majority, those all came through right when the survey was put out. And then as the survey was live for those 8 weeks, we really didn't receive much of that sort of opposition, no art here. Accessibility recommendations, ADA access, tactile elements, potentially including something for the visually impaired, multilingual, and interpretive plaques, including Nisenan language where appropriate. And then we did ask a broad question about, just to gather input while we were get on this question while we were engaging the community of what should be considered as a community vision for public art in Nevada City. And folks emphasized roles such as education, beautification, inspiration, cultural reflection, and community pride. A mix of celebratory, thoughtful, and truth-telling storytelling was desired. And then there was a broad consensus that public art should enhance and not distract from Nevada City's natural and architectural beauty. So I felt like the survey really did its job, and I'm really pleased that the commission suggested doing the survey for this potential project. I think the results that came through are varied, but also once we really dug into the data and sort of put it in these categories, it made it easier for me to see kind of ways that the commission could direct or choose a direction if so desired. So no pressure on coming up with something tonight, but if you want to trend in that direction, so the initial idea was, provide a recommendation to the city council on a potential for public art at this location, and then bring it back to your commission to actually commission a piece or further define what that art could be.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much for consolidating all this. This was really helpful
Yeah.
to look at.
Questions? Public comment? Us comment?
As you can probably tell from my comments when we were doing the consent calendar, I went back and actually reviewed the YouTube of the meeting, or the one that's on the city site, to see what action we had taken, to see if I was remembering correctly or whatever. And I'm really bothered that Sean had said it was going to just be a recap, in the consent agenda for us to have his information. And then the idea was we wouldn't talk about it until July or August. And the public that was here and the people watching at home would have had that impression that the next time we're going to talk about it is July or August. And yet I'm hearing, well, we can give input tonight to give to the council. And I just really think it's not fair to the public to bring these things back every single meeting, kind of wear them down till they're not here, and then talk about it again. So I left that meeting thinking, okay, in July or August, when we see what the intersection is looking like and can get an idea of what's going on, then we're going to start making some of these decisions and talking about it. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I'm just saying I'm bothered that it's back here 1 month later, and then 1 month later, and 1 month later, and we keep doing this with things, and that really bothers me. I don't think it's fair to the public, for sure, or the commissioners. That's
I have
how-
a totally different interpretation of this item. I think last time we had asked for some analysis of the data because we just got raw data and it was not possible to interpret it in a meaningful way. And so we had asked, I was expecting this to happen tonight. I think that we can, in good faith, say we're not going to make any recommendations to the council tonight. I don't think anyone has that intent. And that this would be a good opportunity to simply, if there are reflections on the city's analysis of this data that we want to capture, let's do that. And to Kathy's point, kind of stick to what we had said, which was we'll bring it back in a more formal way later in the summer.
If you go back and listen to what was actually said, it was said that it would be on
the
the
way I see
consent
it is I
agenda.
do remember Sean saying that, but I also remember that I was the staff member presenting the item last time, and that I felt like I was presenting something that needed more work. And so it was my intention to bring it back. It could have been this meeting, it could have been next meeting, with this sort of synthesized.
And I appreciate that it's much more,
Yeah, and so I do remember
Digestible
Sean
now.
saying that, but I didn't really understand it in the moment, and he and I probably should have talked about it a little bit more, and like maybe, I don't know, made sure we were on the same page of like, hey, why did you say it would go on consent? I didn't really understand that. So yeah, I just thought the last meeting that more work could have been done in advance of the meeting, and so I wanted to bring it back a little bit more fleshed out.
And it's a lot more
It's-
useful
yes.
this way, so thank you for doing that,
Yeah.
because it was kind of hard to interpret the other way.
Yeah.
so.
much more digestible.
And we also didn't get any public comment last meeting when it was on the agenda as well, so.
And are we done taking in public or opinions from the community? Is that over? Like, could that be opened back up since we're not going to be formally talking about it? Or is that period is
I'd
done?
rather not, I mean, just the work
To compile it and make sense
Yeah.
of it? Okay,
But it was open for 2 months,
Yeah.
you know?
yeah.
Also, I think if you have surveys open too long,
Yeah.
people just like, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe don't know.
And there'd be public comment opportunities when we
Yes,
bring
as it
this
gets
back,
closer,
right?
that's true.
Yeah, and at the council meeting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
And the project will be complete, I'm sorry, Mary.
oh, I was going to ask about the project's completion.
Yeah, so it's gonna be complete in the next, 6 weeks, so.
And that includes the little, like, area where the proposed art was going?
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah,
We could all
so,
potentially go visit it and kind of feel out the space. and-
exactly, so you can, once it's done, we'll bring, I apologize, Kathy, for my inartful use of words consent. I meant that when I said it, but then Lisa's like, we need to be able to share this so that you can blame that on me, I apologize. But when the project's done, we could bring back to you something, not to determine if there's gonna be art there, but hey, the project's done now, here's pictures of it, here's the information, here's what you were asked or about previously, and then that can just be that information, and then you can tell us when you might want to re-engage in that conversation, knowing that you have a different opportunity at that point to maybe do a field trip or to, have, Brian's gonna kill me or Shane's gonna kill me if they're watching at home, but I mean, we could like close half of the road and do
Got it.
do it right there, right? It's like,
Yeah.
let's have the meeting there and look at the actual site and, that you might have exactly the same opinion, you might have a very different opinion
I think
standing
we're all going
in.
to have different
And
opinions.
I
in the
think,
place,
that's why I think once it's done and we see it, we're going to have a better idea in some of these comments that are in here that we've been going through tonight about, safety concerns about it being too high or too low or whatever. We'll have a much better idea of what, and as will the neighbors and the people who commented and the 102 people who responded to the survey, or I don't know if 102 total or somewhere in there it said 102 respondents, and, we'll have a better idea of what we're dealing with. Right now, it's kind of like we're shooting in the dark and
I think we're all saying the same thing.
what
Yeah.
goes there.
Yep.
So, no need to apologize, it's just I was caught off guard having it in this part of the packet rather than the consent that I had heard.
Alrighty. Anything else, comments on this item? Thank you again, Lisa,
Thanks,
for
Lisa.
putting this together. This is really, really valuable. I think it's going to inform our work
Yeah.
in a lot of
Yeah.
contexts
Absolutely.
moving forward.
Thank you. It's much easier to understand this time around.
Great. Okay, the grand finale, commissioner and staff liaison reports. I'd like to open it up to commissioners. Share anything. I'd like to read something. I wanted to read playwright Moises Kaufman's acceptance speech from Sunday's Lucille Lortel Awards, which is a, off-Broadway theater
award ceremony. Yesterday, the President of the United States canceled all of the grants for the National Endowment for the Arts for all the theaters and all the artists that had been approved in the last year. This means that this year, that all those institutions and all of the artists that were expecting that funding and that money will be left without. And in times like this, in addition to the disastrous effects it's going to have, that is meant to make all of us be afraid, that it's meant to send a shockwave to all of us to think twice about the work we want to make. And I think this is an opportunity for us to think twice about the work we want to make. And the first thing that totalitarian regimes always do is go against artists, and they do that because they know how powerful we are, and we have to know how powerful we are because we have the stage. And you know, the National Endowment of the Arts, established in the 60s, has an annual budget of over $200 million. California's benefited from like roughly $80 million over the last 5 years. So this has a huge impact on us in our community. And I bring it up because in this time, there's so many reasons for art to exist and why art needs to exist. For the enrichment of our communities, to carry messages forward, and to prevent a vision of America that's devoid of culture. We absolutely, as this body and in our lives, must continue to elevate and amplify the message that arts are crucial for economic growth, education, cultural preservation, free speech, and democracy. And you know, I think what we do here is recognize that art is public health, that art is community connection, that art is really is such a powerful mechanism for change and solidarity. And so I just want to say it's an honor to serve with you guys, and what we're doing is really, really important, and happy to be doing it with you and for the City of Nevada City. That's my staff report.
I
Thank you
have,
for sharing that, Shannon.
I have, yeah, it's important. I have a report, I guess, since I'm not representing the Historical Society, but that's the slot I took. We have been fortunate to have been given some original Bev Hackett artwork. And as we're talking about what's going on with artists now, we've had artists in this community for 150 plus years. And it's really exciting for me to see how art even, keeps living on. The artists are long gone, but the art is living on. And we've got a number of, artists from way back that we're still appreciating their art now. And so what this commission is doing 100 years from now, people will be saying, oh, we just got a couple of original Mira Clark artwork, or whoever it may be, and displaying it in whatever way they display things 100 years from now. But it's our history, and it's what ties us from the very beginning, the petroglyphs, whatever it is, to where we go in the future. We're all tied together with that artwork. And so I'm just really excited for us being able to, they came back, I believe it was from the Bancroft. So, yeah.
Okay. I think we can all in unison say that we'd like to adjourn this meeting. And all in favor say aye. Aye. We adjourn this meeting at 6:50.